So you're fucking calling me, not like I don't understand. If I didn't pick up your phone call, why did you immediately call me 10 more times? I was on the other line.
Who are you on the other line with?
This fucking insane person who I might be buying a car from.
Wait, what?
We're gonna buy a car, and I talked to this person. He couldn't shut up. He was doing this automatic talk, like he's in construction or like electronic safety in Jersey. And I of course have no idea what the fuck he's talking about and couldn't get him to shut up. It was a true bizarre
Sam,
situation.
what the fuck? You're having car talk with an old man and you're not patching me in? Do you not understand how three-way calling works? We could be having car talk right now. What kind of car is it?
A 99 Toyota RAV4.
A 1999 Toyota RAV4, and how? That's 20 years ago.
150,000 miles. Okay, but this
A
is
20-year-old vehicle with
this is 100% true. I looked at it, Kelly Blue Book stuff, and this guy talked about. He's like, my mechanic friend said exactly what I had done in my own research, which is that 97, 98, 99 Toyota RAV4s will run forever. People love those fucking cars. And as soon as you get to 2000, 2001, the paradigm shift of 9/11 changed RAV4s forever. And everything in the post 9/11 world.
Bullshit.
It's true.
Bullshit. That's what your mechanic friend said? Your mechanic friend said that Osama bin Laden is behind the downfall of the Toyota RAV4?
No, that's...
And I'm sorry.
I'm drawing the connection there. That's not what the mechanic said. That's what I'm saying.
You're about to spend your only $3,000. You have $3,000 of disposable income. And you're going to spend your only $3,000 on a Toyota RAV4 because you think it's pre-Osama bin Laden's nefarious impact on the Toyota RAV4.
So the thing is that you can find these cars for $2,500. You can find like pieces of shit ones for $1,500 that then you have to put in work. But I don't want to put in any work. I don't know anything about cars. This guy's asking. He was asking 38. And now he dropped it to 36. But then he said on the phone with me after talking to him for 15 fucking minutes about his son and all this other bullshit. He was like, listen, I think I can do 34, but anything less than that, I'd rather just keep it and go drive and get milk with it, is what he said, which was fucking weird. But you think that it's a bad idea to get a Northeast car? You're just worried about the year? I mean, you're not going to find...
Sam, do you know about the fucking the deleterious effects of salt on cars?
Yeah.
This motherfucker has used this car for 20 years, get it on salt-infused roads?
Yes, and it had rust, but the guy checked it out with a fucking hammer and all this other bullshit, yada yada. It's just surface rust, and then he went and bought some crazy kind of paint that you put on the rust and it doesn't make it spread.
Oh, that shit doesn't work. I don't buy that paint. That paint is a famous lie.
What the fuck am I going to do? Go down to fucking... Where am I going to go to where they don't salt the roads to buy a car?
Great question. We could call friend of the show, longtime listener Scott Yanko, who has access to like Denver Craigslist. He could set you up with... They don't salt the roads out there. We could find you a car there. They last forever. And we just drive it back to New York.
What? You want me to go to fucking Colorado to buy a car?
Yeah, doesn't that sound like a fun activity for... Well, in New Jersey, they salt the roads. Plus, it's toxic and gross. I know you want, like, why you want to buy a car from Jersey?
Because it's an hour away. I'm not going to fucking fly to Colorado to buy a car. It's ridiculous. And anyway, I'm canceling cars.
What about San Diego? They have really good cars there, too. Never need to salt the roads out there.
What the fuck?
Cars last forever out there.
San Diego?
But don't you understand that there's a vast difference? Keep your mind out of the gutter, Sam. A vast difference between a Toyota RAV4 that's 20 years old in New Jersey, New York, or Boston, as opposed to like Colorado Springs or San Diego, where they don't salt the roads.
What the fuck are you talking about? Colorado Springs or San Diego? What are you talking about? I know
Those are where you want to spend top dollar for a fucking 20-year-old RAV4, not one from Jersey. I understand how you could be so obtuse.
I'm not going to fucking Colorado.
You're like dark matter.
Of all
This
the
is like
fucking
this level of
places in the
density
country that
is,
don't
like,
salt the roads,
astronomical.
why are you fucking honing in on Colorado Springs and San Diego because they're both like Air Force bases? What the fuck is that?
I've been doing a lot of research about your vehicle. Those are the places where you're
in the
supposed
fucking
to
5
spend
minutes
top
that we've been
dollar.
talking about it, you've been doing a lot of research on it?
Yes, I've been doing some digging. Are you saying that I'm not on fucking like JSTOR right now reading peer-reviewed Car Talk episode papers about where to buy cars based on salt usage? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I want to end Car Talk and start Phone Wallet Keys David Ortiz.
Part of the terms of your unconditional surrender on this topic is that we get to do it again next week if you haven't bought a car by then.
Deal.
Cross me up. Don't snap. Don't breathe. Just leave me of this skin. And baby begin.
I'm going to go and test drive it on Thursday.
Oh, that would be fun. You should call me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz. No, the guy that I'm buying the fucking car from already can't shut up, and so if I got too involved, it would be this horrible situation where there'd be two of you, and neither of you would be able to shut up, and it would just be a real...
Wow, I can't imagine what fucking fresh hell that must be for you, having a chatterbox on the other line that you can't be like outright verbally abusive towards.
It is the one thing that allows me to interface with you is the knowledge that I can verbally abuse you at any time if it starts getting
I
too
also
much.
think that that's why so many other people tune in. It's because they've been longing to verbally abuse me for so long and haven't had the inner courage or gumption to actually do so themselves, but take such joy out of you doing it that it's like worthwhile. People who I've known in like various aspects of my professional
It's
life
such a narcissistic understanding of why people would tune in. It's just because like they have these things that they wanted to say to you. I talked to an actual fan of the pod last night, a very surprising one, Shannon Esper, who says, "Oh yeah, I listen to your podcast all the time because I have to listen to podcasts when I go to sleep, and when I like run through all of the podcasts that I listen to, then I just listen to yours." And it just puts me right to sleep. And I was just like, you need to stop listening to our podcast right away because that's not going to be good for your sleep cycle. Listening to the two of us scream at each other. I mean, I think what she was saying is that she doesn't care about sports at all. And so it's so boring that it just like whisks her way to sleep. But I also think that it's extremely traumatizing and damaging to your REM cycle to if you're attempting to go to sleep right now and you're listening to the two of us scream at each other, you need to check out calm.com. My girlfriend's super into that. They'll tell you like adult bedtime stories. That's probably a lot. They talk in a really wonderful voice that's very pleasant and sweet to listen to. And it's nothing like the harsh horror of whatever sound my brother clearing his throat or not clearing his throat is.
Sam, what's weird is I feel as though that I am always calm and certainly calmer than you. And it is you who like lose your temper and pop off, which is fine and entertaining for people. But if like there's someone costing Shannon Esper, who is a famous actress and a wonderful person, her sleep cycle, it's not me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz. This is Season 3, Episode 3. This is a sports podcast where me, Sam, talk to my brother Max about Boston sports and some other sports-adjacent issues and maybe some non-sport issues, but maybe Boston-related or brother-related or politics. And we have a bunch of things to talk about today on our episode. For instance,
Sam, do you ever get depressed?
My mood certainly fluctuates. It has a range of range of emotions. I don't get like stuck in a depression for days on end like some people I know. Or,
Like I
weeks
do.
on end.
Like, or I have.
Do you?
I've gotten. Yeah, and I think Dad does too, but I
Really?
don't think Mom does. Yeah.
You think Dad spends like a week in bed or something? I don't know. Like,
I don't think so, but I think he gets sad for if he could, he would.
sad is not even an emotion that I can recall ever seeing our father express, unless he expresses.
Well, I don't
it
think
the
he
same
knows how to
way.
process it.
Yeah, rage and anger.
Were you about to throw me under the same bus as him?
Oh, I think that the two of you are incredibly similar in ways that both of you are loath to admit. Fascinating.
First of all, I'm capable of expressing sadness or disappointment. Like, for instance, I am very disappointed in your response to this conversation topic. And I'd like to share my feelings as to why.
All right. Well, I'll admit that right there, that is something that our father's not really capable of doing. But this is just a show. This is a pony show
You
that you're
think
putting on.
this is so fucked
in the
up?
moment of truth, and that when it actually comes to it, like, you're both equally tone deaf and equally unable to see how you come across to other people, and obsessed with how you've been wronged in any given situation. And I think that you do have a better chance of addressing some of these problems than he does, because he's pushing 75, but it's not going to happen on its own. So me and all of the listeners involved combined, this is an intervention. Are asking you to seek medical help now before it's too late. What do you have to say for that?
No, I mean, I think you're right that it's easy to get caught up in feeling wrong. But I think what that is, at least for me, is like feeling like no one understands my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're hearing as me dwelling on how I've been wronged is me explaining how you've wronged me, and then you denying my lived experience, and then me dwelling on it because you keep on saying things like, that's not true or that's not reasonable, which is fine. It's just your fault, which is interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing that we're hashing out here.
No, I mean, I'm glad that we have this recorded so I can play it to the medical experts that I will be seeking for help on your behalf, seeing as it sounded like, I think you clearly did almost bottom out just now and were receptive momentarily to seek help, but I think that moment has passed already. But at least it's frozen in time and recorded in this podcast, and I do think that was cool, and so we can build on this.
But you don't like. It's never hard for you to get out of bed.
I mean, there are days when it's hard for me to get out of bed, when I don't even want to get out of bed. But I also, I think I stay pretty active in general in my life, which I think helps. Yeah, like my experience with depression, which is a lot. I have a lot of experience with depression. It looks like, and what that looks like, I mean, that's just one particular person's depression. I don't experience that. Like,
you're saying that you love someone who's been depressed, or who has depression.
who's like currently in bed right now, and unable to get out as we're recording this podcast. But whatever.
I mean, it's probably your fault.
It's definitely not my fault. So tell me more
Well,
about.
I mean, is she buying a car with you?
Maybe. Well, I mean,
Okay,
I don't know.
interesting.
She doesn't have a driver's license that works. So and it's apparently.
But she also does have a low tolerance for your domineering personality, which I'm sure is in full force when it comes to spending $3,000 on a vehicle, and especially with your like sanity be damned, I need a 20-year-old RAV4 from New Jersey right now attitude.
I mean, I actually am fine without a car. This is mostly for her benefit because I have a bicycle that I use to get around. She doesn't feel safe on bicycles, and so and she wants to leave New York, if not permanently. I mean, she wants to leave New York permanently, but as a way to kind of stave off that departure, I think having the ability to go upstate or go to Cape Cod or something will make it a lot better. Anyway, what is it like for you when you go through a period of depression? Is it similar that because some people, I think you can probably be depressed but not like immobilized, right? And is that similar?
Sure, but like I don't know, like this weekend, right? I woke up mad early, and hopped out of bed,
really,
and like did the dishes from the night before, and like cleaned the kitchen completely,
yeah. And
then I like went to the gym,
right? So I would,
then like I bought a bunch of I went to like the flower store and like, did some mixing and matching, and then I did some like fucking like trimming of those flowers. And then listen to me. Listen to
I'm
me.
with
You're
you.
not fucking listening.
I am totally listening.
You're not
to you. I can tell you every single thing that you just said.
It doesn't feel like you're listening to me.
Why?
Shut up. So there I was trimming the flowers up and down so that like there was like beauty on layers, that like so like it not only like was like look good from like one angle, but like the vase display. Anyway, I did a really good job. And then and then afterwards I swept up all the trimmings, right? And then I put them in the compost, and then I tied up the little compost bag, and I carried the compost bag. Listen to me.
I am listening to you, but I am also
you're not listening.
Feeling like you're maybe including too many details to get your point across. But continue. Or is this it? Like, that's just like a lot of this is just.
This is it. And then I was like, as I was walking back into the house, having taken the compost out, I was like, oh, damn. This is like I am definitely not depressed right now.
Okay, so I have a few things that have already popped into my head now that I'd like to say in response.
I bet you they're all like evil and like based on you not being a doctor, but go on.
In my medical opinion, what you're describing...
A or B, column A or B.
What?
Let's just go.
So it seems like I just want to point out a few observations that I have about what the state of being that you're describing as you not being depressed.
Taxonomically, those observations.
Okay, number one,
column,
a lot of those things,
column evil,
a lot of those,
or column 2, B, column you not being a doctor. So go ahead.
All right, a lot of those things seem to be just like baseline normal cleaning up after yourselves things. Something. Okay, so, and then I would say, your track record of cleaning up after yourself is so abysmal, piss poor that maybe you have been suffering from an extreme depression that has lasted for the last 30 years or more. I mean, at least 30, yeah. Except for a few momentary moments where you came out of it, and I don't know. So that's one observation. The flowers thing is really cool that you did that. That's really beautiful. And it's nice that you composted them too. And then you took the compost out. I mean, I don't really... So, yeah, I do think that ordinary tasks are often extremely difficult for people who are struggling with their mental health. So, and I think that you qualify. I think a lot of ordinary tasks have been extremely difficult for you throughout the years, and I'm just so happy to hear that you even felt for one day in your new town that that you weren't experiencing that. And I hope that you can build on that too and keep that going. And I do want to just say that you did just move to London, so you do get a fresh start because you're in a new
now we're having like
but
swung wildly.
If you want to keep this going, it's not going to last on itself. You're not just going to wake up every fucking morning like and experience
Column B,
this
you're not a doctor. All I was saying, stop. All I was saying was that sometimes when I am feeling sad, things like getting right out of bed or doing last night's dishes or like getting out of the house and doing something like fun it's like easier to just stay in bed and like
totally
watch TV and eat leftovers and not do anything.
Totally.
And like sometimes that's just great. Sometimes it's like really fun to just like stay in and eat pizza and watch cartoons.
Totally.
But like sometimes it's hard to know if you're really happy or really sad.
Yeah.
But it's
True.
easy to know that you're not sad, for me anyway, when I'm out doing fun stuff.
Listen, that's awesome.
But
and I really
the
wish
reason why I asked if you were depressed is because you know, like you don't seem as like vivacious as usual. You seem like kind of sad and off. So I was like, I wanted to like first talk about my own struggles with depression to make space to talk about how. And if you want to like keep up with this, like I'm not depressed. I don't get like it's not like one of my crosses to bear. That's fine. You're just gonna have some splaining to do about how you've been failing to cut the brotherly mustard of late.
I mean, I don't even know where to fucking begin with that shit. That is so outrageous. I'm an incredibly emotional person, and I experience the full range of them. And if you think that I'm lacking vivaciousness, then I would say, prove it, motherfucker. What the fuck? Put your fucking money where your mouth is and explain exactly what you're talking about. But I also didn't get to finish this other thing that I actually want to say on the topic of your depression, which you were so generous to lay on the table as a way to, I guess, ultimately make a dig at me. Now I have to doubt the sincerity of everything that you've said, which frankly I was doubting all along because you're not usually capable of such sincerity, but you're also not usually capable of cleaning up after yourself, doing the most menial tasks. So if I'm going to take your word for any of this, then maybe you have turned over a new leaf. But I do want to tell you this, brother, and I want to fucking say this, that it won't last on its own. You're not going to wake up every fucking day from here on out and jump right out of bed and clean up after the dishes, because that shit's hard. It will get hard. And what the fuck are you going to do about it when it gets hard? That's what I want you to I just want you to think about it, because I want you to remember this feeling, and I want you to go back and play this podcast so you can hear the sound of your voice, what it sounded like when you did wake up in the morning and go take care of your fucking dishes. And then you went and got flowers, and then you fucking threw the flowers out when you were done with them. And I want you to aspire to nothing less than that. And I believe in you. And it's okay every once in a while if you're having an off day, no fucking problem. But you got this, and I believe in you. But you might need help along the way. We all do. We all need help in different places. And I encourage you to get that help, either if it's not coming from yourself, then reach out to the Phone Wallet Keys David Ortiz community. We're here for you. Your own brother, I'm here for you anytime you need it. Did you see the Patriots game last night?
This has been a really good pep talk. That's very brotherly. That's very good. Now let's go through the Rolodex of unbrotherly behavior that's been taking place over the last few months.
Well, it's been 25 minutes roughly, and we've spent 8 minutes talking about a car and another 18 minutes talking about our respective mental healths. But if you want to,
I think this has been the most compelling Phone Wallet Keys David Ortiz episode of all time.
Well, we'll leave that.
But if you'd like to make an argument that there's been a better episode, I'd love to hear it.
I mean, I think that there were some really phenomenal episodes in season 1 where we were really coming.
Which episodes stand out?
Remember there was the baseball game that kind of went forever, like the 17 or 18 inning game against, I think it was the Yankees, but it could have been the Astros, ALCS or ALDS. It was ALCS, and then we
it was against the Dodgers. You monster.
Some of those baseball playoff episodes were
It was
great.
against the Dodgers.
Now is not the time to go over the canon of
definitely
Phone
not as
Wallet
good
Keys.
as the episode where the brothers talked about depression. It's just like, that's going to be the famous one. You're wrong again.
Okay.
Which is great. But
So,
Sam,
before we
do you
talk
feel
about
like
sports,
that you have been... Do you feel like you've been doing your part to ensure that Bernie Sanders, who loves the working class so much that he had a heart attack, is going to win the New York primary? Or are you a little bit depressed, and so you're not doing everything you can do to help Bernie Sanders win the New York primary? Or are you still on the Yang Gang fence and thinking about supporting him in the New York primary?
I have never for one moment considered, not even for a single moment, considered supporting Yang over Bernie Sanders. My heart and soul is with
good.
democratic
I'm glad
socialism.
you cleared that up. And we have no reason to doubt that.
Great.
We as listeners to your proclamation. So back to the idea, what's on the table right now, keep in mind for everyone, is the question of have you been doing everything you possibly can do to make sure Bernie Sanders wins the New York primary, or are you a little depressed? Maybe that's why you're not doing all that you can.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not doing all that I can right now. I haven't given it my whole to Bernie. I mean, as you know, last time around, I didn't get as involved as some, but I was certainly phone banking. I was having lots of conversations with people. I was doing some organizing, peripheral organizing with the Bernie Sanders campaign, and I still I've endorsed him as a candidate. I think that he's by far the best candidate. I love Bernie Sanders, and I think that the Democrats are going to nominate Biden, and I think that we are going to lose the presidential election to Donald Trump because of that. And so when it comes time...
You sound pretty depressed. Fine, you sound like you're having, and it's easy to have, are you banging on your fucking keyboard because you're so frustrated right now?
No.
What did I just hear in the background?
I reached over and touched the keyboard as kind of like a it's just a reset thing. It's just there in my peripheral vision, and I just went and touched it for 1 second.
No,
I assure you, I'm
fucking
100%
on the
here.
ropes. You're on the
Oh my
emotional ropes
God.
right now. What?
This is a sports podcast. I want to talk about sports a little bit.
Okay, we can talk about sports in a second, but I just want to understand, because Bernie Sanders, since the last time we had an episode, has been working so hard to save America that his heart nearly burst. It's like the end of Stone Fox with the dog Searchlight. It's very, very bad and sad.
No idea what that is, but we have a big fucking problem, and that's Bernie is 76 years old. Bernie's really fucking old. He's older than our dad. Our dad is too old to be president. Our dad is too old to be president of his local chapter of golfers against drunk golf cart driving.
Sam, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I know.
It's never going to be like this again.
I kind of agree with that.
Bernie Sanders doesn't particularly want to fucking die on the campaign trail, but he's willing to. And I think that you should probably, unless you have some compelling reason not to, tell us what you intend and what anyone else should do. Would they like to get more involved in getting?
Listen,
the,
I've been
Bernie
donating.
Sanders.
I've been donating money to Bernie Sanders every month, and I think
doesn't seem like that's
extremely
that's
important.
great. You don't even have any money. Yeah, you don't have any money. But don't you think you could be doing more?
At this point, I'm not really sure what. Yeah, I probably could be doing more. You're right. All right. So if you have some ideas, you can let me know at a different time. But I think we've exhausted this line of investigation for this particular episode. We can pick this back up in the future. You just fucking you expatted, so fuck you. What are you doing for Bernie Sanders in London?
I'm working for Jeremy Corbyn, and I think it's I've been having the same conversation with people.
You're working for Jeremy Corbyn?
Well, no, I'm not. There's only so much. You're right. There's only so much a fucking expat can do, but I do have a fucking a lot of expertise on a particular manner that Jeremy Corbyn is fucking suffering from, which is being labeled an anti-Semite for legitimate criticism of Israel. So, I mean, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. I'm happy to talk about the fucking Jews for Labor organization that is the only fucking anti-Zionist, pro-labor org out there like withstanding a fucking full-on barrage attack from the Israel lobby and the British equivalent of AIPAC. Do you want to do that?
I mean,
last time we talked about this in last episode, which you haven't apologized for, which is unbrotherly, which we could go back to. Are you depressed? Hashtag.
Clear your throat.
Okay, thank you for the reminder. But as I was saying in last episode, if memory serves, I brought up British politics and you got furious with me. So what's up? You want to talk about fucking the Patriots and our like savage beating of the Washington Redskins, which caused them to fire their coach like within 8 hours of the final result? Is that what you want?
I do
Is
want
that,
that,
what want?
but are you working for Jeremy Corbyn?
No, not yet. That's my long-term goal, though.
I think you should try and do that. That sounds great. I mean, and he would be lucky to have you, a man with your experience and expertise. You have a tremendous amount to offer to that campaign. But
weirdly, these British people don't know how to like deal directly with problems. You know, they're like a very oblique people. They're indirect to a fault. I'm faulting them for it. I hope that's clear. And they I have said more declarative statements on my t-shirt, than they have said in their entire lives. And so they don't seem actually that well equipped to deal with false accusations of anti-Semitism to silence legitimate criticism of Israel made by non-honorable, not in good faith, intellectually dishonest actors. They don't seem, but I, however, am very, very willing and well equipped to deal with those people.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anyone who's better suited to deal with those people than you are. And the shirt that you're wearing right now is the same shirt that you were wearing when you were visiting New York, where Carlos Santana stopped us on the street and gave you a fist bump for it, right?
Yeah, that was really a nice moment when in our brotherhood, when we were just standing there and Carlos Santana walked by and gave me a short compliment.
Listen, I want some phone wallet keys, David Ortiz merch. I've been waiting for years. I guess my birthday is 7 or 8 months from now, so maybe you could, take care of something then. Listen,
I won't be celebrating your birth. It was a real nadir for me.
Wow.
Before I got all the attention, brother. Really enjoyed the full force of mom and dad's love.
And you've been a deeply unsatisfied attention whore ever since.
Just depressed, that's all.
Well, seeing as we've already covered your mental health extensively, I think we should shift gears and talk about sports. Please join me. So, yes, the Patriots played the Washington Redskins yesterday, and they played a pretty bad game, and they won by a lot of points. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they seem to win by nearly 1 million points and suck for the first half.
Yeah. And can we just kind of catch up on the Patriots in general? We're 4 games into the season. So
we're in fact 5 games into the season.
Oh, so we're past the quarter point of the season. We're the only team that has won all of our games.
That's also not true.
Yes, it is.
Did San Francisco play last night?
San Francisco plays tonight, and they have yet to lose, but didn't they have a tie?
No, they're 3-0. They've played 3 games and had a bye, and it's Monday night. I don't know what time it is. It's 2 p.m. your time on Monday night, which means that the 49ers are, as of now, still undefeated.
Okay, fine.
Thank you for admitting you were wrong. It was very mature of you.
In any event, how do you feel? Have you watched all the games?
Yeah.
And what's your general temperature reading of the team?
I think our offensive line sucks.
I mean, it's been decimated with injuries, but yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. And then I think our offensive receiving core doesn't have very many weapons.
Which is weird, right? Because that's not true. We have a ton of weapons. We have Josh Gordon. We have Julian Edelman. We have James White. We have Dorsett didn't play yesterday. Is he hurt? He's been having a great season, I thought.
I feel great about James White. I feel pretty good about Josh Gordon. I feel great about Julian Edelman. But if we had Antonio Brown, we would be in business.
Yeah.
We might need to trade for another weapon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Antonio Brown thing is painful, but I remember when we got him, it felt like, oh, this is gratuitous. Like we don't need this, and now we just got this guy. But actually, it now seems more and more like we really truly did need him, or at least that. I mean, I don't know about need him. Like we've certainly had worse offensive weapons than we have at our disposal now, and have gone that we've taken deep into the playoffs before, even the Super Bowl. Right?
Well, if we don't win the Super Bowl, it's bullshit. So that's like anything other than winning the Super Bowl is unacceptable to me.
But wait, what's the guy's name that I think he's on the Rams now, and he was our best wide receiver?
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. Like I mean, he's like, I think Philip Dorsett is as good as Brandon Cooks.
Well, you're very, very ignorant.
I know
You're
the
a very
numbers
ignorant
don't
man.
actually bear that out, but the experience of
Good.
the experience of watching Brandon Cooks was never that impressive. And likewise, it's not that impressive to watch Philip Dorsett, but it's just like it feels equally impressive, and like they kind of have a similar role. And I don't really see any reason why between Philip Dorsett, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman, James White, and and like, I guess we need some kind of tight end help. What if Gronk comes back?
Well, then we would win the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
Look, if we're going to stomach how fucking morally reprehensible the Patriots are and how like disgusting the NFL as a institution is, we need to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it's a huge waste of my time, and I feel terrible for all the investment.
Yeah. That's true.
Can we talk about the latest bit of bullshit?
What are you talking about? I don't even know.
Did you not see my fucking text message to you? I sent you an article, a fucking press release from Patriots.com.
Oh, really? I saw the text. I mean, you sent it to me like 15 minutes before we recorded. But what can you tell me what it
Well,
said?
that's actually not true, Sam. I sent it to you 75 minutes before we started recording. You just don't click on my text messages to you, which is rude and unbrotherly. But I understand because you're having a mental health crisis, it seems like.
What are you talking about? So what is this thing?
Oh, it's a press release that Robert Kraft named a new executive director to the foundation to combat anti-Semitism. Can I just read part of this, brother?
Please do.
It is incumbent upon all of us to fight anti-Semitism and educate our communities so as to eradicate hatred towards Judaism, the Jewish people, and the Jewish state.
And what are your thoughts about that?
What are your thoughts about that?
I'm confused as to why that is a pressing issue for Robert Kraft. It seems like
Because Robert Kraft is a huge Zionist. But I mean, there's a great reason to be worried about the rate, like increase in anti-Semitism. It's just like truly and deeply fucked up to have a committed local Zionist, Dr. Rachel Fish, who was a member of the Singer Foundation, which is Paul E. Singer, who founded Birthright, Sam, and also engaged in colonialism against the governments of Puerto Rico and Argentina. Do you remember them?
Do I remember the governments of Puerto Rico and Argentina?
The people, Sam, are our colonized subjects in Puerto Rico. Do you remember them? Do you have love in your heart for the victims of U.S. imperialism?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad you passed that moral test. Well, Paul E. Singer fails it, brother. And you know who else fails it? Robert Kraft, which is why he poached the fucking CEO of the Singer Foundation for his new anti-Semitism effort, which, brother, deliberately conflates anti-Semitism with legitimate criticism of the Zionist project.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, and what the fuck is Robert Kraft like? How are they gonna go about doing this? Like, what is that gonna look like beyond just like they're gonna keep bringing like football players to Israel, which we've covered in the past as being
a way of whitewashing the crimes of apartheid.
So, did you see that Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, tweeted this week in support of the Hong Kong protesters, and then has received really extreme, harsh backlash by the Chinese interest in the NBA?
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because of Yao Ming, the Houston Rockets are by far the most popular team in China.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
And being the most popular team in China is like way different than being the most popular team in anywhere else, frankly.
Okay. I'm barely following
because
here.
of from a market standpoint.
Got you, yeah. A huge market.
Okay, as far as developing markets for the NBA, it's like China is everything. Right. And Yao Ming and the Rockets are the fucking forebears of that. But now the Rockets have been iced out. They're no longer, they've been censored effectively.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I know that James Harden today, I think, came out with a strong statement in support of China. I mean, this is fucking
the star of the
Houston Rockets.
Of China.
It's crazy. It's fucking insane.
I have a take which is unpopular as usual, but I try and remain consistent on these things.
Okay.
Which is that like I don't feel comfortable with anyone in the U.S. saying anything about any like human rights violations anywhere else. I think it's bad to do that, and I know it's tempting because there's all these stupendous and spectacular images coming out of China, or coming out of Hong Kong, excuse me, and there's like seems to be legitimate gripes and a like series of treaties to be independent from mainland China for another 47 years for the people of Hong Kong that they deserve. But I just think that like when people like Maury or when people like you who are about to say something like that, like we should respect human rights in Hong Kong, is like we should respect human rights at our border, in our fucking prisons, and so many other places. But we don't.
Those aren't mutually exclusive. Like,
they're
those,
not
in
mutually
fact, belong
exclusive.
to the same
but
program.
You sound just like a fucking neocon who wants to go to war with China. We shouldn't beat the war drum. We should make sure that when we criticize China, we don't sound like the same people who are like criticizing China so as to manufacture consent for the next war.
It's not criticizing China. It's standing in solidarity with the people of Hong Kong who have taken to the streets in great numbers and are performing a tremendous collective action that is inspiring and could have reverberations across the world, just in terms of, for no other reason than what collective action makes possible. So I don't think Maury didn't even say anything about China. I think he just said, I stand with the people of Hong Kong. I mean, I certainly didn't say anything in support or even against China. And it's weird for you to say that we should not criticize other foreign governments when we have a crisis, concentration camps at our border and a, modern day slavery in our prison industrial complex, because you've spent so much of your life criticizing Israel, which has nothing to which is
part of U.S. empire. Central to the role of Israel and the Zionist project is central to the role of U.S. imperialism. That's not the
basis of your criticism of
Wrong.
It. That's not the first. It might be related,
Sam?
but that's it. It's an American-centric critique of Israel that you've been waging all these years.
We give billions of dollars of our tax dollars to fucking kick out an indigenous population and replace it with a white European settler colonial project.
Yes.
That's bad. And it's being done in our names as American Jews. I don't understand what's so fucking complicated about this.
Well, what's complicated about it is that on the one hand, you seem perfectly comfortable wanting to intervene in that situation, and yet you
because when
wanna,
I say
caution.
we shouldn't fucking colonize Palestine, do I sound like a fucking neocon? But when you say
No, but if I say I stand in solidarity with the people in Hong Kong, that
you
sounds
actually
like a neocon
sound
to you?
just like Mitt Romney right now, who's tweeted the same shit. Doesn't that alarm you a little bit? George W. Bush feels the same way. Doesn't that alarm you a little bit? Like, these people, as Americans, I agree with you that people that protesters shouldn't be getting shot with live rounds in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sound like one of these other motherfuckers who are disingenuously criticizing China because because it manufactures consent for the next war. That shit happens in Venezuela all the time. Especially people on the left who are like, Maduro is wrong. Yo, Maduro is under siege by U.S. empire. Shut the fuck up and fucking stand up for the people of Venezuela by opposing U.S. imperialism. If that argument makes sense to you about Venezuela, it should make sense to you about Hong Kong and China too, to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, I think it's an interesting point. I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying, but I think that in all, I'm not for Maduro just because I'm against U.S. imperialism.
No, that's
I'm
bullshit.
for the people
That
of
sucks.
Venezuela. What?
That sucks. Maduro's awesome. Shut up.
You love Maduro?
I don't have why do you have a fucking opinion about the dude?
You just said Maduro's awesome.
And stop interrupting your older brother.
Well,
Why
so
do you
you're
have
just about to tell me about my opinion of Maduro, which I don't have one.
Your
You called
older
him awesome.
brother. The point I'm trying to make is that it's bad to criticize. It's weird. It's like this weird Trotskyist tendency. And this is why everyone calls me a fucking Stalinist, just because I oppose
Yes, because
Trotskyism.
you're an avowed Stalinist.
No, I am
That's
not.
not why we call you a Stalinist.
I don't like this Trotskyist notion of taking a place that is currently under attack by U.S. like CIA, army, and the government, like Venezuela, and being like, Maduro's bad too. Then you sound like a fucking neocon. We're already on the verge of fucking invading this country, and you want to sit here and criticize? You criticize the fucking Fidel Castro too? I sound like a Miami fucking liberal Cuban Zionist? Fuck that.
Sorry,
sucks.
there are things that you could criticize the Castro regime for without also supporting U.S.
I'm going to
imperialism.
drive a fucking axe into your dome, Sam. That is bullshit. What are you talking about? The U.S. has fucking 480 military bases around the world. No one else has those.
Yeah. No, I agree
Close
with
the
you
military
completely.
bases, and then we can fucking talk. If the U.S. wasn't fucking waging genocidal sanctions against Venezuela, I'm sure Maduro could afford to liberalize the fucking private industry as you would see fit, you goddamn Trotskyite. And the fucking sanctions your country is currently engaged in. Don't worry about other people's shit when we're committing human rights abuses. This is an easy thing.
All right.
Easy.
That's I'm glad that we actually talked about this. I think that was
Did
as
you watch the
interesting
Celtics? Did you watch the Celtics preseason game yesterday?
I didn't get to watch it because I went and saw the Grateful Dead cover band instead, and I would have. Well, I don't know. I wish I had seen the Celtics preseason game, but did you watch it? No. I looked at the box score and stuff, and kind of.
Do
read
you know
about
who
it,
the starters were?
Yes, and that is the right starting lineup for it. I'd like to do next week. We can do a full Celtics preview. I think at this point we're already pushing an hour, and I want to bring. I want to save the Celtics for one more week, but I will say very briefly that that's the right starting lineup for the regular season. What was that? Did you hear that? I had a woman's voice in my ears, like talking to me about a doctor's visit. That was
Maybe that was the
bizarre.
beeping I was hearing in my ear.
Maybe. I
Which
think
has
that
been
was the
enraging me this entire podcast, which is maybe I would like to maybe walk back some of the things I said to you, because now that the beeping in my ear is gone, I feel less hostile towards you.
Yeah, well, I'm editing that out, so your hostility will remain at the level that it was without explanation for our listeners, which is good. That is we all have our roles to play. And I fashioned you a
yours
role
is
in this
Zionistic
podcast.
historical revisionism. Now that you
That's
get to
not
edit history.
true, Max. That's not true. That's not my role, but it is your role to be completely irrational and insane, and me to be the voice of reason. And you know what? Those roles we just fit into very, very snugly. We don't even have to try
Sam,
really hard.
it is Zionistic historical revisionism to wield control over the editing process and change literal
There's
history
nothing
about what
Zionistic
we're
about
saying.
it, Max.
Yes,
Why-
it is.
that is
You're
a
putting your
horrific
fucked up
conflation.
side.
Zionism's
in
a real
pos-
fucking thing, Max. Don't just use that as a catch-all phrase. And
I
it will
didn't
lose all
say
meaning.
it was Zionism. I said it was Zionistic. The levels of historical revisionism you're capable of are like akin. I'm sorry, I forgot that things have to be exactly the same before you can fucking compare them to something else. That's what a comparison is. Not when you fucking say how one thing is similar to something else that's different from that thing.
Please, Zionistic conjures up a certain meaning.
Yes.
And it's good, actually, that word means something. It's a powerful tool for you to use in your work as an activist, and so don't degrade it. You'll be shooting yourself in the fucking foot. Now listen.
Fine, I
do
won't
wanna-
degrade it. That's fine. I won't degrade
But
it.
I
if you
will
won't
reserve
edit
the
out
right to
all my
edit out
funny
whatever the fuck
lines
I want
where
to edit out until you learn how to edit yourself. So I'm fucking waiting. If you
Okay.
want to learn how to fucking edit,
good,
it's really
good.
easy. You could do it
Deprive
in
the
a
people
day.
of my best jokes at your pathetic expense.
Yes.
Well,
that's right, people out there. Listen to all of our listeners out there. I cut out about 100 of Max's hilarious jokes every episode and make him sound a lot less funny than he really is.
let's talk about the Yankees.
We need to talk about the Yankees. And I wanted to bring it back and say, if Daryl Morey is getting into, like, his job is now threatened as the GM of the Rockets for his
We should
criticism
hire
of
him.
China. Well, that's like because of the market of China that is now quenching down on the free. That's like, restricting the free speech expression of really outspoken and creative thinker in the NBA community. And I do wonder what will happen is if Robert Kraft continues to build a bigger and bigger public platform accusing of conflating anti-Israel people with anti-Semites, if like there will be then start to be repercussions for outspoken NFL people within the NFL community if they criticize Israel for one reason or another. Like, let's say they try and play an NFL game in Israel in 3 or 4 years, like they play NFL games in London, and there are people that come out against that. How will that be weaponized? How will their free speech be the target of? This actually is an extremely dangerous thing to have Robert Kraft building this kind of platform. And so I think it is a really important thing that you're calling attention to, Max, and I want to salute you for it.
Thanks, brother.
Now, as we wrap up, there is the baseball playoffs taking place right now, and the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs, which is it's completely fucking crazy. Baseball is boring and long enough as it is. And if the Red Sox didn't even fucking keep it together to defend their fucking World Series title from last year, I was ready to check out and just not really pay attention to the baseball. But I've been drawn back in. Have you also? Or
I have one priority and one priority alone.
and this is the same thing that has drawn me back into paying attention to
Defeating
baseball playoffs.
U.S. imperialism. Yankee, go home.
The New York Yankees are playing the Minnesota Twins, and
Doesn't look good.
I kind of like thought that you, Max, were being unreasonable in your continued hatred and vitriol against the Yankees.
Well,
which
we
has been
have defeated them.
documented.
We have
because we've defeated them.
We've defeated all
Now
of our
it
enemies.
feels like punching down a little bit when you criticize the Yankees to the extent
because
that you did
we
when-
have won
right?
4 World Series this century and they've only won 1.
Yes, so
They haven't won as many
whereas-
titles as the Celtics since integration.
Right. In the 90s, when you
Which is
had a
pathetic.
pathological obsession with the Yankees and how much they allegedly sucked, even though they didn't, it was this weird kind of delusional David and Goliath situation where, like, David is, like, calling Goliath a midget or something. And so it was, like, clearly, like, insane, but also compelling. And then
He fought
in the
old Goliath who lay down and dieth.
Please refrain. What I'm saying now is in the recently, as you've been continuing to grip to that old psychosis about the Yankees, I've been more and more concerned for your mental state and well-being. But a few things have come out in the last week or so that has actually given me pause to reconsider. I wouldn't say I've changed my mind. I am still extremely concerned for your well-being, mental and otherwise. And that's why we had the intervention earlier in this episode. But can you just talk about do you know some of the things that have happened in the last week that have, like, what's your feelings with the Yankees right now? What has anything happened recently that is
Yeah, I mean, listen, brother. I was
outrage?
I was right. I was like, fuck this. I'm pissed off that, like, I'm just not going to think about it. I'm not going to pay any attention to the baseball playoffs this year. I don't want to. Like, the worst thing that could possibly happen would be the Yankees win the World Series. And even that wouldn't be so bad because that would just be their second title, and we have 4 this century. But then I saw a fucking tweet that was announcing that Rudy Giuliani was bringing Alan Dershowitz as his guest to game 1 of the playoff games. And I was like, all right, like, just when I thought I was fucking out, they dragged me back in.
Wow, that is... If there was a tweet that was designed in a laboratory of people that were trying to get you upset,
No, it's great.
enraged,
I'm so glad.
they couldn't have done a better job.
Do you people see that Giuliani loves Alan Dershowitz and his Zionism? So you should probably not. Anyway, I think also there's this Uber thing. Did you see this?
Uber talk?
No, the Uber chant at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, so apparently there's a Minnesota Twins pitcher who, when he was in the minor leagues, was doubling as an Uber driver because he
Wanted to make money.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so 50,000 New Yorkers,
Joeys from the Bronx, were chanting Uber at him, I guess, when he started to pitch, like, as a way to make him feel bad about being poor.
Truly outrageous.
Yeah, these people are fucking garbage, and that's why, everyone, we need to, like, start looking pretty hard at the Houston Astros, because the Twins don't seem like they have it in them to beat the Yankees, but the Astros, just like last year, when the Red Sox had to go up and, it's going to be a real slugfest. And, if the Astros can't beat the Yankees, I don't think anyone can, and that fucking sucks. So I would just say to people, if you don't want the class traitorous New York Yankee fans to be happy, which I don't want, if you don't want Alan Dershowitz and Rudy Giuliani to be happy, which me and my brother have a unified front about, join our front, please.
Yes.
Then
and
root
also,
for the
speaking of-
Houston Astros. Become a Houston Astros fan.
Yeah. Is it too late for the Twins?
They might get eliminated by the time you finish editing. It's like they're facing their first elimination game tonight.
But also, speaking of slugfest, aren't there like a couple of Yankee players that aren't participating in these playoffs because of their like recently uncovered actions of domestic violence?
Yeah, one of their bullpen players is off the team. I was just reading that too.
Then there's a current bullpen player for them who's been kicked off the team or is suspended for the playoffs, but then also a former Yankee closer this week, John Wetland.
Oh, the
just
fucking
got busted
pedophile.
for continuous sexual abuse of a child under the age of 14.
Yeah, I mean, look, brother, like,
Ladies and
as
gentlemen,
I've been
the New York
saying,
Yankees.
fuck the Yankees, but like you don't need to add any more fucking fodder to my cannon. I am like convinced to an abiding moral certitude that the Yankees are a bankrupt and shitty organization. You don't need to tell me. Do you remember
moral certitude?
Do you remember? Is it 10-11? Oh my god.
Wait, oh my god. Is
oh
it
my
10-11?
god, in 4 days, by the time this episode comes out, everybody, it will be the fucking what?
Never forget.
It was
10-11.
It was
the day the Yankees attacked
13th anniversary of the day that the New York Yankee pitcher flew his plane into a building in Corey Lytle, Yankee pitcher Corey Lytle, American terrorist Corey Lytle flew a plane. I know this is going to sound triggering and a little too soon, but 5 years after 9/11, Corey Lytle, American terrorist Yankee pitcher, flew his plane into a building in New York City.
Yeah.
And everyone has forgotten the day the Yankees have taken attacked
But not
America.
us.
But not
We
me.
haven't. Never forget.
Never forget the day the Yankees attacked America. And go Astros or Dodgers, whoever it takes to beat these fuckers. Great podcast, Sam.
Great job. I love you so much, Max. Thank you
I
all
love
for
you
tuning
too.
in.
Be
Next
nice
in-
to Ariel.
I always am. Stay tuned for further updates on my quest to get a car, my brother's quest to clean
Be a
up after
normal
himself
person.
and get up out of bed. And also, we're going to get to a big Celtics preview. We're going to keep following the Patriots' undefeated season as the case plays. But thank you all so much for listening. Max, I love you so much.
I love you too, Sam. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.